What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another boxinacorner.net video. In today's video, we're going to be doing a follow-up to my first English guide for Last Origin. I have a couple of house cleaning things to take care of first before we get started, so go ahead and bear with me, but I hope you enjoy the video. And as always, I'm open to questions and comments in the YouTube comment section. All right, so let's go ahead and take care of all of the business. First and foremost, if you are new to this channel, I do this as a convenience for all of my viewers, including you if you're brand new, is that I put timestamps in the YouTube video description. So if you're watching this on desktop right now, just go and scroll down a bit. You will go and see the timestamps listed in the video description. If you're watching this on mobile or tablet or anything else, you're probably going to have to expand a window or click on something to show the video description, because I do not believe it's turned on by default anymore on YouTube. But if you do go ahead and do that, you will actually see the timestamps listed. All right, that way you can go ahead and jump to a topic that interests you, and you don't have to sit here and watch the entire video. But I do welcome you to come back if you like what you see to watch the rest of it in segments. Okay, so do what you need to do. The timestamps are there. You are welcome. I do that for all of my stuff. The second thing, and the most important part of this video, is that I don't want to get you in trouble. Okay, a little history about my channel. It is not monetized. I do not believe in YouTube monetization. I've not made 1 cent off of YouTube, even though my channel is monetization eligible. I actually have not enabled it for the very reason is that I do not want to be in YouTube's pocket. I don't want them to blackmail me. Okay, so because of that reason, this video is going to be very not safe for work. All right. A lot of characters in this game are dressed very explicitly and also provocatively, but they're not doing anything they're not supposed to do. So I'm just going to go and give you that warning that if you're watching this video at work or in a public space, you might get into trouble, or if you're watching it around people who are a little bit sensitive to this topic or subject, that also might get you a little bit of hot water. So I don't want you to be exposed to that. So just giving you a heads up, watch this video when and where appropriate, all right? So yeah, it's going to be pretty spicy very soon. And finally, at the end of this video, I'm going to be talking about the English patch again. In the first video that I did not cover the English patching process in detail as I wanted to. So hopefully I'm going to do a better job this time around. I'm going to be a little bit more detailed about it. So if you're here and you're confused, or maybe you made a comment on my first video needing assistance on how to patch the game in English again, I'm going to show you how to do that at the end of this video again. And this time it's going to be a little bit in more detail. All right. And then finally, if you somehow stumbled upon this video and you didn't watch my first video on the game, please do so. That is because I am not going to tell you where to download this game in the video. What this game is all about, and talking about other stuff that I already covered in the first video, because why would I? I'm repeating myself. So please go and click on my channel name, look at my video list. The first video should be the one right before this, okay? Or just do a search for Last Origin Quick English Patch, because that should lead you to the first video that I did. All right, great. And the final thing, because I am very airheaded sometimes, I don't know what I'm doing. Let me go ahead and bring up my credits sheets right here, and let's go ahead and make this full screen. A shout out to the English Discord. All right, I talk about this a lot in the first video. I won't talk about it too much in this video because this is a follow-up video after all. But once again, a shout out to the English Discord and the people who run it, as well as some of its great members. In the English Discord are Lord and Savior, Icuh, I call him Ica, our great frog lord. Is the one that keeps the Discord together. He's the big daddy in there, as well as he also puts a lot of useful information. There's a guide section in there that everyone will direct you to. If you're new to the English Discord, I would say drop on by, check out the guide list. You'll find everything you need to, as well as the uncensored APK game, as well as the English patch. Okay, so everything's in the English Discord. Let's try to build the community. I'm trying to get people over there, and that's why I've blanked out some of these links that you see on the screen right there, because I don't want anyone to hot link the file. Okay, I want them to join the English Discord and then get the file from there. All right, so Icuh or Ica is our big daddy. He has a Last Origin guide which is up to date, but another user on there who goes by the name of Slime, at least that's his name in English. He actually has a Japanese letter name. I've blocked out his extension as well as icons for privacy reasons, but that's his icon. You'll see him on the English Discord. An extremely useful, intelligent, and just overall nice guy. Answers a lot of questions. Overall, has been pleasant. Doesn't meme too much, which is a good thing since everyone else is memeing in there most of the time. Go ahead and check out his guide. He has a guide in there that's version 1.25, but he has been working on a new one, and I'm actually pulling information from his newer guide into today's video. Okay, so a lot of credit to him, a lot of shout outs to him, and yeah, that is that. So that is the credits sheets for the English Discord. So let's go ahead and move on back to the game. All right, let's go ahead and finally get started. So the first topic that we're going to be covering in today's video, and once again, this is a follow-up guide to the original one, is unit focus. Other words known as which units you should be trying to get early on in your last Origin career. Okay. After that, we're going to be talking about how to build unit stats, which should be very interesting. I'm going to cover briefly the core link system in this game, as well as equipment. Okay, because that got overlooked in my first video. Equipment is extremely important. And then we're going to finish out with how to do the English patch again. I'm going to do it specifically on Bluestacks 4, but I'm going to cover the basics of how to patch things in English in general for Last Origin. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the newbie unit guide. So let me go and bring this up right here. Okay, so once again, this is made by Slime. This is not made by me. I put his icon on the left right there to remind people who is the mastermind for this list. I also want to let you guys know that if you're new to this game, are there tier lists in existence? Yes, they are, but they're relatively made for the Korean or Chinese or even the Japanese players that play this game. It's more kind of an East Asian thing, and they do have a tier list. It's not really serious. I think there's a boob tier list out there too for the game. In other words, it rates how big the breasts of the units are in the game and in comparison to one another. What I'm trying to say is that the unit list that you see in front of us is not a tier list. Okay, this is not the alpha omega tier list and all the best units in the game. Far from it, I would say. What this tier list is just a good representation of units that you should be trying to get early on, or if not, at least focus on them as you're playing the game if you're kind of lost of what units to get. Okay, all the units on this list are really flexible. They do different things very well, or they do a singular thing extremely well to the point of almost being overpowered. Okay, off the top of my head, Ignis, for example, is one of the best tanks in the game, period. Alice down here is one of the best damage dealers in the game, period. Does that mean that they're the best? Not necessarily, but what they do is really good. So they can be argued for being like the top 3, okay, if there was a theoretical tier list. But that's what this list in front of us is getting at. So I wanted to leave it on screen. You can go ahead and pause it. You can go and reference this list at any time by looking at the video. Or more importantly, when Slime updates his official English guide again, you will always be able to find this list in his guide on the English Discord. And that's that guy right here, okay? That's his icon, all right, as well as his name. What I'm going to be focusing on is one unit and one unit only. That's Perrault, okay? I know it looks like Perrault. It's actually Perrault. I looked up the pronunciation on Google. Thank you, Google. All right, and the reason why I'm going to be focusing on Perrault is because she is the easiest unit to get as a new player, okay? You can get her as early as 3-8 in the game, all right? And she's also farmable. You notice that some units on this list says not farmable. For example, the first unit says Lindworm, not farmable. Charlotte, right here, SS Light Attacker, not farmable. That means that in the regular play of the game, you will not be able to farm for this unit. You're only going to be able to get the unit via special exception. Okay, so it's going to be either a gift from the developer, or they're going to be a unit that you can exchange through an event or something like that. Okay, so you'll be able to get a copy of the unit, but you won't be able to farm for them. So you have to kind of play the waiting game, or you have to gamble. Okay, using the crafting system. Okay, and we don't want you to go down that route. All right, so Perrault is farmable. She's in 3-8. If you're brand spanking new to the game, let me go and quickly show you where it is in the main map. Okay, so first of all, let me go and turn on the randomizer. Okay, the mascot on my screen right now is Labiata. I believe I'm pronouncing her name right. I looked up her pronunciation on Google as well, but I think it's like a Spanish or Portuguese reference to a flower, so my pronunciation is really bad. But this is Labiata, and the reason why I want to bring her up, because I was just talking about exclusive units. She is not farmable at all in the game, and I believe she's not even craftable, so you can't even make her. Okay, she's a special drop from 6-8, and once you get one copy of her, that is it. You will not get any more copies of her. You will have to use something special, which I'll talk about a little bit later in the video during the core link section, in order to get her up to full core link. Okay, And kind of a little joke and aside here. Labiata is one of my favorite unit designs in the game. I absolutely love the way she looks. She's kind of like a motherly type. Obviously, overly motherly, overly exaggerated type. She even has like a motherly voice. Yeah, you kind of hear it's very sultry, very adult-like. And just throwing that out there because I believe on one of the newer guide lists that talks about the pros and cons of the game, I believe our great Slime, the guy that I'm referencing a lot of stuff out of, he said the game can be a little bit extreme because some unit designs are a little bit over the top, like Labiata. And I strongly disagree. All right, Slime, if you're watching this, I love Labiata. I love the way she looks. I hope they make more units like her. Okay. Anyway, that's not important. What is important? Let's go and click on the world. Let's go and click on the main story, and let's go and transport you over to World 3.8. So that is where Perrault is going to be located. If I click on the more info tab right there, you'll notice that there she is. All right. She's the first unit that can be dropped here. Okay. In this game, there's auto battle. There's auto grinding. Meaning that you can repeat a map once you've finished it as much as you want to. And auto battle, meaning the units will fight for themselves to the best of their ability. Actually, not really. They'll just fight automatically. They're actually quite stupid when they're automatic, but that is the way it is with auto grinding throughout the mobile gaming universe. But Perrault is located at 3.8. And you'll notice right here it says required combat power 10,000. That means that you'll need a team roughly about 10,000 power in order to farm this map. That shouldn't be too hard to get as a new player. I can tell you, if you know the ins and outs of the game, that is a grossly exaggerated number. You should be able to do this map a lot sooner and a lot easier. Your whole team probably might be in the 7,000, 8,000 range. You might even get away with 6,000 if you know what you're doing, like I said. So don't worry about that number too much. And Perrault is going to be farmable on that map specifically, okay? So I'm going to go back on the desktop here. I'm going to turn on the randomizer, and this is where the not safe for work stuff I was talking about earlier is going to start. Oh, okay. There's Fortune. She's not too bad. But other units are going to start popping up as I go back and forth through these windows and menus, okay? All right, so let's go back to the unit list and talk about Perrault once more. I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty about her now and why she's such a great unit for a new player. So let's go ahead and read what Slime has to say about her. Although Perrault is great at soloing for the same reasons that Lindworm is. Lindworm is the unit above her. She also makes a very good tank for protecting one unit or two units after rank advancement. And what he's talking about is that Perrault can actually be advanced to SS. I'll talk about that later in the core link. She can be built with evasion for soloing or defense plus HP for tanking. Her build is the same as Lindworm's unless you build her as a defender. I'm going to go ahead and reference this list right here. This is a list that shows a lot of information. It's kind of like a database link, that's being worked on and kept active for the English community, and it contains all of the units in the game, their portrait, as well as all of their abilities. What's that? That's weird. All of their abilities, as well as a translation of every single thing related to the abilities, okay? And this also includes for robots, includes it for the enemies. It has a lot of other use for information like the crafting table, the timetables, what the dailies are, in other words, translated. It even has a very, very useful guide on the map and shows you what units drop on which section of the map, okay? So like we go to 3.8, for example, if I can find it, there you go. You see 3.8, and it says Perrault right there. See, she's the first S-rank unit that drops there. So this is an extremely useful list. I hid the address bar on purpose because I'm not trying to be a troll. I'm just trying to tell you guys, please visit the English Discord, build the community. This is located on the English Discord. You can access it at any time once you've joined there, okay? All right, so let's go back to Perrault. Why is she such a great newbie unit, all right? She's right in the middle right there, okay? You see her portrait? So her first active ability, this is her first default attack. She deals damage to a single target and inflicts defense down, accuracy down for 2 rounds. If the target is affected by a defense down, she will also add an additional debuff of damage taken increased by that number right there. Now, if you see these numbers in parentheses, that means the maximum value. The first value is its minimal. In other words, right out the gate, okay? So in other words, like you can level up skills in this game from 1 to 10. So for example, at level 1, it's negative 10%. At level 10, it's negative 19%, okay? So that's how you read this particular chart, just in case you reference it in the future. But in any case, Perrault's first attack, as you can see, is very useful. It's a debuff. It's also a defense down. What's going to happen is that if you're going to be grinding with her, you're probably going to attack a unit 2 times or 3 times in a row, you know, etc., stuff like that. And the more beefier, tankier units, what Perrault is going to do is she's going to be able to inflict this defense down, which is helpful for grinding if you're coming up against a slightly meatier unit. And since she's going to be the only unit in your party for solo grinding, which I'll talk about a little bit later in the video, that's going to be very helpful. Okay, so that's why her first active ability is extremely useful. Now, her second active ability, Designate Escort, is also very useful, but it's more or less for active play. The reason I say that is because in Last Origin, when you automatically send a unit out, they're more than likely 90% of the time only going to use their first ability. They're not going to use their second one. But if you're playing actively, this is her second ability. Okay, it grants an ally action points, AP +5, plus 9.5 at max. It also gives them target protect and follow-up attack for 3 rounds, and as you level it up, the AP cost for this will go down from 2.6 to 2.4. Target Protect and Follow-Up is an extremely useful ability. Once again, this is showing Perrault's extreme versatility. When you designate a escort, she will protect the unit. She will try her best to take a hit in their stead. And also, Follow-Up attack means that if the unit attacks, she's going to follow up that attack with an attack of her own. Okay, so once again, extremely useful ability on Perrault. Okay, that's her active. Now let's go and talk about her passive abilities and what makes her one of the best units in the game, not only starting but overall. All right, Flexibility is her first passive. Okay, what it does is that it increases Perrault's defense rating, evasion by a set amount. Okay, at level 1 out the gate, 17.5. At max level, it's 31 and 40% respectively. This is huge, guys. I can't get over this ability being extremely good. Why? 31% extra defense and 40% passive evasion right out the door if you just level up to level 10. Okay, you don't need to put any equipment on her. She gains an additional bonus to defense and evasion. She's a tanky unit, but since you're also going to be soloing, this is extremely important as well, as because this increases her survivability substantially. Now, the next ability is even better. When Perrault is hit, okay, if she gets a little tap on the nose, the additional evasion effect, as well as a chance to double her defense rating, will go ahead and increase. Okay. Also, she'll also have an 80% chance to counter attack. Okay. So not only is she getting a defense bonus, but if the enemies happen to bypass her evasion, she'll actually counterattack. Okay, and then get a buff to evasion and defense for the next turn. All right, extremely good. Okay, it's like a reactive defense, the best way I can describe it. Okay. And then finally, when her HP drops below 50%, okay, so when she gets into the danger zone, her defense rating, or bonus, I should say, as well as the counterattack, is guaranteed, and the counterattack gains an extra 25% damage. So this passive right here is extremely good, all right? It's almost to the point of being slightly overpowered, okay, for one unit. So this is the reason why I recommend getting Perrault for all newbie players out there, or players that have been playing for a while, but they're kind of spinning the wheels. They're not really sure who to focus and who to build up. Perrault is your girl, okay? You need to get her because of this passive number 1 right here. Extremely good. All right, we already talked about her active. This passive number 1 is the bee's knees, one of the best in the game, period. Let's move on to passive number 2, Cutting Rune. Okay, so Perrault does have defense penetration out the gate. She starts off with 30, ends up at 57. And the lower the HP of the enemy that she damages, the higher the damage that she does. Okay, so it's like a sliding scale. All right, so you see right here, it starts off at 50, ends up at 72.5, and that's a sliding scale. So like if the enemy is at 99%, she might be at 1%. If the enemy's at 50%, she's going to do an extra 50%. Okay, you see how that works? It's like a sliding scale. Okay, so stuff like that. Very useful, once again, for solo grinding, because you might run into some meatier enemies, and you need to have that extra damage. And then finally, her third passive. Now, this is a special passive. The reason being is you'll notice it's in a different color. Perrault can be upgraded to SS rank. Let me show you how to do that in the game, just in case you're a new player, you're absolutely confused what I'm talking about. If you go and click on the Research tab right here, you notice that there's a tab on the right-hand side that says Advancement. Okay, if I go and click on that, all right, I have Perrault listed as eligible for advancement. And if I click on this little window right here, you notice that she gets a new skill, okay? And that's the new passive that's referenced in the chart that I'm talking about. She also gets a little bit of a boost to her base stats, which is also good. She also gets a small increase to her cost as well. So anytime you sortie a unit, they do cost a little bit of resources. She'll get +8 to parts, nutrients, and 1 to power. Not a big deal, considering this passive is extremely good as well. But you'll notice that the resource on the bottom that are required to upgrade her are these little things right here. I won't talk about it, but let's just go and say that I'm a pretty advanced player. I'm level 100, and those resources are hard to come by. Okay, so just giving you a heads up that that is going to be very, very far away. I wouldn't worry about this passive too much, but it's something to look forward to if Perrault is one of your favorite units and you just want to make her even more strong than she already is. Okay, so at the start of battle, she's going to give the unit behind her and the unit below her extra action points up to 1.9, which is extremely good. She's also going to protect them, and she's also going to give them the follow-up attack ability right out the gate, meaning that if those two units attack, she will go ahead and do an attack afterward. Okay, and then icing on the cake for this ability is that whenever she attacks an enemy by default, or uses her 1 or 2 ability, whatever, I'm sorry, her 1 ability, she's also going to give those allies in that area behind her and below her some extra action points as well to make them a little bit faster. All right, so that is why, guys, that this character right here, Perrault, is one of the best units to get early on. She's going to be extremely flexible, and she's going to be your solo grinding unit. Now, when I'm talking about solo grinding, this might throw a couple of people out of the loop. They might not understand what I'm talking about. What do you mean by solo grinding? Okay, I'm kind of confused. This is what I'm talking about, solo grinding. I'm going to do a quick solo grind to show you what I am talking about. So let's go and click on World. Let's go and click on the event. And let's go ahead and farm a map. That's real quick. Yeah, sure. Let's go and do 2-1. Why not? So I'm actually going to go and remove Charlotte here. Once again, not safe for work stuff. Okay, you guys have been warned. Let's go ahead and find Perrault on my list. Where are you, girl? Come here, Perrault. There you are. I'm going to drop her in. We're going to send Charlotte out. And let's just go ahead and see. You know what? That equipment is good enough. Okay. So this is Perrault. This is the unit that I've been talking about. There she is in all of her glory. I'm saving up for her skins. But we're going to go and send her on a solo grind. So what exactly is a solo grind? Okay. So I mentioned this in the first video, but I touched on it very, very, very lightly. So let me go and go over this time in detail. A solo grind is any unit that is able to complete a map by themselves. Okay, so in your squad right now, you have one unit, and that unit is going to go and clear that map that you're going to send them on. Okay, at the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see something that says resource cost. It's going to cost 39 parts, 39 nutrients, and 8 power to send this unit out. Okay, we are going to use this unit to auto grind for us that particular map. Okay, so for example, let's say I was trying to grind for Brownie here, which I never would, but let's say theoretically I'm trying to grind for her. All right, this is how I would farm this map. Because I would send this unit out and she would go and clear the map. What's nice about this particular type of farming is that not only is it relatively fast because your unit can go ahead and do the map by themselves, but they'll be able to survive. They're not going to take extreme damage to the point where they need to recover. And also, the resources that you're getting back should theoretically be a little bit lower or even to the resources that you're putting into the grind. In some rare instances, the resources that you'll be getting back is actually going to be even more than you sent out your unit to go and grind for you. Okay, so I'm going to go and start this battle as a proof of concept to show you Perrault soloing this map. She can solo a map a lot harder than this, but the only reason I'm using this map is that I just want it as proof of concept. Okay, and I believe there's only 3 stages to it. Okay, so I'm sending Perrault out. Remember all of the passive abilities I talked about that she has. Okay. She can dodge. She can do decent damage. She can also take a hit. But more importantly, she can do the map by herself. Okay? And that is why you want a unit like Perrault early on, because she's going to allow you to farm maps. Okay? Now, something that I haven't touched upon is the fact that farming in this game is extremely important, because every single time an event comes around, you're going to need to farm for resources. Okay? And because of that reason, you want to be grinding consistently. All right? So you want to send a unit out and have them grind as much as possible. And if you're confused about what to do as an early game player, just grind. There's no reason for you not to grind. Grinding should be eternal, as quoted by the great Ica, ICUH, in the English Discord, okay? Whenever you're confused, whenever you don't know what to do, go grind. It's pointless for you not to grind. Okay, you should always be solo grinding what I'm doing in front of us right now. Okay? See, she didn't take any damage. We got a unit drop. Okay? And then it goes on and on and on. She's going to do the rest of the map by herself. We're going to get random drops from enemies, etc., stuff like that. That was a counterattack, by the way. Very nice. And yeah. And at the end of these maps, especially end of event maps, you're also going to get something like an event item, okay? Usually you're going to get like an event currency. And that event currency is very important. I'll show you after this map is done. For your early game and mid game development, okay? Advanced players usually end up with everything already, like they already have all the stuff, so event currency doesn't necessarily become as important. They usually end up chasing equipment or units that are rare or hard to get. But for beginning and intermediate players, event farming is extremely important for that event currency because that allows you to buy a lot of useful stuff, which once again I'll show you in just a moment. Okay, so there's the brownie. Okay, we got our brownie. And then we have this final section right here, which unfortunately is going to take a little bit long because there are a lot of tanky units in this formation right here. So you notice on the left-hand side, once again, this is just for people who are new to the game, that Perrault has a ton of buffs on her, and that's because of her passive, okay? As she attacks, as she gets attacked, you can go and bring up this little log here, by the way. Just go and click on this little log icon upper right hand corner, and it will show you everything that's happening in the game, okay? So if you've ever played a game like a CRPG, you know, one of those games where you do dice rolls and stuff like that. This is basically like the dice roll log, okay? It shows you everything that's been happening, okay? It's going to show you who rolled 2d6, who failed a saving throw, etc., stuff like that, okay? That's what this list is for. It's just a good list for you to keep a track of if you want to see all the technical details of what's going on, okay? All right. So we're going to go and turn off repeat battle. We are done, and you notice that I got 2 units, I got 2 event currency, and I got a little, I think that's evasion equipment from this run, okay? I can go ahead and take those 3 things that I got, the 2 units and the equipment, and I can go ahead and exchange them, recycle them to get some of my resources back from the event grind. All right? So that is one of my explorations done. Let me go and clear that out. Let's go ahead and go to the exchange right here and talk about why event farming is important. All right, so you notice right now that I have 11,902 Christmas stockings. I actually had a way more than that because I bought a bunch of stuff. But those Christmas stockings for this current event, I can go ahead and use that in the event exchange to buy a bunch of useful stuff, okay? One of the things that you should be buying first and foremost with event currency is proxy cores. They're one of the most important things in the early game. Later on, not so important because players usually have all the units that they have already and max them out. But proxy cores are very useful for a starting player because they are duplicates of the units that you're going to be needed to build. So I'm going to talk more about this later. But stuff like that, as well as resources, okay, like parts, nutrients, power, experience booklets, as well as skill booklets, just common resources that you need for crafting. All of this stuff can be bought with event currency, okay, as well as units that you need to break the limits of your character. So it's very important for you to always be grinding, never stop grinding. The moment you play this game, you should be grinding nonstop. Let it run 24/7 if you can on your device. If that's not an option, run it on an emulator and then run it on your computer 24/7. Your computer can handle the heat and the load. You should never stop grinding, and that's why it's important to get a unit that can grind in the game nonstop, okay? And Perrault is one of those units that can grind nonstop. So there we go. All right, we're already 28 minutes into this guide. We're going to go and keep on going, folks. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the unit building guide. So I'm going to go ahead and close some of the stuff that I don't need. Sorry about that. Some house cleaning stuff here. Let's go ahead and go back to the stat unit building guide. All right, let me go get a sip of water and we'll begin. Okay, so in this section of the video, I'm going to go and show you guys how to build units. And I'm really just regurgitating a lot of the information that is written by Slime. Once again, his icon or badge is on the upper right-hand corner. And in this guide that he has written, this is the general consensus of the English Discord. It's not necessarily the general consensus of Korean players because they know a little bit more than we do. But for the English Discord, anytime you ask, hey, how do I build my unit? This is the guide that they're going to refer to, or they're going to refer to Cuz guide, which is even simpler than this. But this is a general guide, and what's really nice about it is that credit goes to where it's due. The people who created it and worked on this type of guide made it so that you really can't mess up a unit as long as you follow this guide. Okay? So this is like, the best way I can describe it is like it's a B-rated guide, meaning like it's good, but it's not great. Okay? It will give you what you need for the unit in the best way possible. But if we're talking about min-maxing, this is not the guide, right? Because obviously, you know, if you need a min-max, you have to understand the mechanics of the game and the way the unit works and the way that unit works with other units that you want to put into a team. So reading verbatim what Slime written on the upper left-hand corner, he says, so again and again, I see the question, how do I upgrade the unit? Or something above those lines. For you people, this guide will hopefully answer that question. As a newer player, you likely won't be able to tell at a glance what unit needs what stats, right? Here's a little diagram to should help with determining what stats are the best to build on any particular unit you want to upgrade. This won't give you the 100% most optimal stat distribution for any unit. I just said that. But it will end up being a viable distribution nonetheless, which I 100% completely agree. Okay? So in this guide, he's broken it up to 3 sections. On the left-hand side is blue, which is a defender, okay, which is the shield icon. I think it would be nice if he added the shield icon, but whatever. In the middle is an attacker, and on the right hand is a supporter, okay? So I'm not going to go over every single thing on this guide. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? But for the most part, the reason why I say use caution with this guide is that there are certain units in the game that really benefit from certain stat distributions, okay? Do not worry yourself, however, if you're a new player. You will always have the ability to reset stat distribution, okay? So this isn't like the old days of Diablo 2, all right? I'm throwing that reference out there for the the boomers out there or whatever who get my reference, okay? You know, back in the old days of Diablo 2, you know, when you leveled up the character, if you messed up one stat point, that was pretty much a reset, okay? You were like, you would curse the heavens and you would have to start a new character because you messed up that one stat point distribution. Of course, later on they added respec, but because of all of the casuals. But yeah, back in those days, if you messed up, you couldn't fix it. In this game, you can fix it, but it's not given to you, okay? So let me go and talk about that real briefly. In this game, there's something that's called, let me go and see if I can find it. Boop, 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 where are you? There you are. Battle module resets, okay? So I have 24 of these. These were really hard to get. I actually am a hoarder. I try not to reset units whenever possible because I feel like as the game progresses and gets balanced and patched out, you know, I don't know what's going to happen to it, so I always want to save these up. But you can actually reset the stat distribution of your units in this game by using these battle modules. These are not easy to come by. You usually only get them as special rewards, event gifts, or event exchanges. And if the developer is feeling very generous, they'll give you a couple of free ones in the mail, as well as monthly login rewards, okay? So you can reset a unit, but like I said, just be a little bit cautious, all right? They're not free. They're not granted or given to you. It's not like you just pay money, simple money or something like that. You get a reset, okay? They are a little bit on the rare side, but at least you can do them. So it's not at the end of the world if you mess up stat distribution, okay? If you make a unit that is not as good as it needs to be. So for those of you out there who are intermediate players, you may be saying, well, you know, I've been following this guide. It's been working out pretty well for me. Can you show me an example of a couple of units that might benefit from min-maxing versus following this guide? Because, you know, hey, this guide is good, right? This guide's awesome. Everyone tells me to run with this guide. Let me go and show you a couple of units, what I'm talking about, where the guide is not necessarily the best, okay? So let's go ahead and bring up, I think I'll go bring up Rhea first. Yeah, Rhea, there she is. All right, let's go and bring her up. And then let's go ahead and bring up her skill right here. And I am going to make this as small as possible. Bear with me, folks. Is that readable? There we go. All right. I'm just going to minimize it down. Good. Okay, so let's talk about Rhea right here. So Rhea is a flying support unit. Okay, and in the stat distribution guide, okay, let's go ahead and bring that back up. I'm not sure why I clicked on her power. If you see over on the right-hand side, it says if the unit is a supporter, okay, Does the unit have an attack for its first skill and a buff for its second? Okay. Regardless if you say yes or no. See, yes leads to nothing right now, but I think that's because Slime hasn't finished it. If it says no, it says, does the unit always gain crit from its skills during battle? It would say yes or no. The two answers from that would say increase crit to 52%, increase accuracy to 200%, dump the remaining points into attack. Okay, if you said yes, there's a little bit more complication in this. It would say like you want to add points that only go up to 52, subtracting the crit bonuses, increase accuracy to 200%, dump the remaining points into attack. Once again, generally good advice, but it doesn't necessarily work for Rhea. Okay, why is that? Right, let's go and bring back up her skill. This is her first active skill. This is her default attack. Okay, you'll notice that outside of its awesome debuff effect, okay, this is very important right here. It says when crit, inflict accuracy negative 30%, 43.5% at maximum level, and evasion negative 30% or 43.5% at maximum level for 2 rounds. Okay, that ability only activates on crit. Okay, so because it only activates on crit, it's very important for Rhea to therefore have a high crit stat. Okay, we want her crit stat to be as high as possible because we want that effect to always be on. Okay, so every time she attacks, she adds the debuff on crit, right? So that is why it's important that I'm doing it on purpose right here to level that up. We always want to get crit as high as possible to the best of our ability. Now, Rhea, unfortunately, is only level 56. I haven't maxed her out because I've been working on other units and grinding. But because of that ability, we want Rhea to get as high as crit as possible. And attack, although always useful on attacking units, is not as important. It kind of takes a back seat, okay? So if we follow the guide here, her crit would only be roughly about 52%, and then the rest of it would be into attack. But Rhea's ability is so good. Okay, I'm not sure why that did work. Okay, there we go. Her debuff ability is so good. We want all of the units in that area of effect to take negative accuracy and negative evasion. That's extremely good. Okay, that really helps your party out a lot if the enemy is blind. Okay, and also if they can't really dodge your attacks as well. So that is a perfect example of min-maxing to the unit. Okay, we want Rhea to get extra crit versus attack. Okay, attack is not so important. We want to max out her crit rate to a very high level. Okay, I would say 80% is a good compromise. If you want to go and get it up that high, you can probably patch it with equipment if you need to, and then dump the rest into attack. Or if you're really crazy, you can just go ahead and dump every point left that you get from level up into crit, and that will probably reach her to near 100, if not 100, and then whatever few remaining points you have left, go and then dump them back into attack. Okay, so that's why it's important to go ahead and look at your unit, reference the sheet that I talked about earlier. If you don't remember, I'm talking about this sheet. Okay, look for the unit in question, go ahead and look at their abilities, and then go ahead and decide what is best for that unit, and go ahead and level them up as necessary. Okay, but that being said, once again, this is not a bad chart. Okay, if you use this chart, you're not messing up. If you follow this chart and you leveled up a unit already, you're not messing up. Okay, and then worst case scenario, you can go ahead and spend the item that I talked about earlier and go ahead and reset their stat distribution. Okay, so it's not the end of the world. All right, if you mess up, follow the guide if you're lost. If you're kind of like you're playing this game for the waifus, you don't care about the min-maxing, you just want the waifus because they all look nice and they're lovable, etc., stuff like that. If you're playing the game for that reason, then just go and follow this guide. You're going to be like 90% good for the rest of the game. Okay, you're good. You won't be able to do the most challenging stuff, but who cares? You're here for the waifu. For everybody else, like I said, good enough guide, a great guide, really. It's awesome, but min-max accordingly. Okay, to the unit in question. Now I'm going to bring up one more example. Okay, because I don't want Rhea to be the only one that I talk about. Let's go and talk about, for example, another supporting unit, if I can find a Perrault. There we go. So we bring up Perrault here. I need to bring up her skill. There we go. Let's go ahead and resize this window. And there we go. That works. Good enough. Okay. So Perrault here, her first ability, which is literally called Breastbuster, best skill name in the game, in my opinion anyway. It ignores protection, okay, and it's also a debuff attack, okay, similar to Rhea's debuff attack, right? However, you notice that this is not a debuff on crit. It's just a debuff. Okay, so it always lands as long as she hits the unit. Okay, so the unit will always receive the debuff. Okay, the ignore protection is basically icing on the cake. Now, with this particular unit, okay, you can go either way. If you build her as the guide suggests, let's go ahead and bring up the stat guide here. If you get her crit up to 52%, her accuracy up to 200%, and then you dump the rest into attack, that's actually a very decent build. It's a very middle of the road build, and it works just fine. Okay, it works really nice for Perrault because her skill is an AoE. You see that it affects one roll, right? So it hits 3 units. That's very useful. Okay, and that's a good build. She'll crit half of the time. She'll have a high enough attack to deal a decent amount of damage, and you know, overall it's just a good middle of the road build. However, that being said, you can dump all of the points. Well, I should say all the remaining points after you get accuracy up to 200% into attack, and that's also going to be a good distribution. Okay, so why is that? She's guaranteed a debuff on hit. Okay, so as long as she hits a unit, she's going to debuff them. Why not do the extra damage? Why not give that extra breast-busting oomph? Okay, because that's what the ability is called, Breast Buster. All right, so why not give an extra punch and dump the rest of the points into attack, which is guaranteed. Crit isn't guaranteed if you're only going to up it to 52%, which then brings me around to the other side. Well, why not just give her 100% crit then? Okay, so that way she always crits, okay, and deals extra damage or extra debilitating effects, okay? So it's really up to you how to build her. But like I said, if you follow the guide, once again, A-okay, right? Middle of the road. You know, she'll crit half of the time. She'll have a high attack boost because of the points you dumped into attack. And she'll always have the base 200% accuracy, because base 200% accuracy is very important for a lot of units in this game. It really is. Okay, you like attacking units need to have a base 200% accuracy across the board. Okay, so keep that in mind. Keep that in the back of your head. Don't kill yourself. Follow the guide. It's really good in general, and it's, you know, across the board for the units in question. Okay. One last thing I'll mention, for example, like if we talk about Perrault, which is the unit I talked about earlier, if you built her to this guide, it'll work out very well. But you can also build her in any way, shape, or form you want to, because she's so flexible. Okay, so don't treat this as gospel, but treat it as a really good starting point as well as a reference whenever you're lost in stat building a unit. Okay. All right, so let me go and get a sip of water, and we'll go and move on to the next subject. And this next subject is going to be core links. All right, so let's go and move back to Perrault here. And in this part of the video, I'm going to be talking about core links and how they work. So core linking in this game is really simple. It's not a hard mechanic to understand, but new players might be a little bit confused. And core links are essentially ways the game, Last Origin I should say, deals with duplicates. Okay, in every game, especially on mobile, when you get duplicate units, you usually can do something with them if you merge them into the original unit. All right, so the same thing is true for this game. So you'll see this core link thing right here on the bottom, or I should say the center bottom of the screen. Whenever you bring up any unit, okay, all units have this little core link thing, and if you click on it, you're going to go and bring up this window, okay, and it's going to show you all of the core link bonuses that you currently have. Now, every time you put a unit in this little window on the bottom left hand side, it's going to increase by the compatibility rating of said unit. Okay, so if I click on this window right here and I put in another Perrault, or I put in another proxy core, it's going to give 100% because it says right 100% right there. If I put on a highly compatible unit, for example, it's going to give 75%, okay? And then the bonus to the overall stats, which is the bottom right-hand side right here, it says link bonus total, will increase according to the proportion of compatibility that you currently have linked on the unit, okay? It's not that difficult, all right? It just basically means the more compatible unit that you have linked to the unit in question, the higher your bonus is going to be, and that is it, okay? I'm going to tell you right now the long and short of it. You should always be linking the duplicate unit or the proxy core to that unit, okay? Proxy cores being this right here, okay? Proxy cores in this game are basically, as their name implies, proxies. Okay, they're substitutes for the original unit. So if you don't have, in this example, a Perrault, let's say all my Perraults were gone and I don't have her, but I want to increase her compatibility link, her core link, I would use one of these proxy cores in her stead, and it would give 100%. Okay, the same exact bonus I would get from a duplicate unit. Okay, so the long and short of this system is that you should always be using duplicates or proxy cores. So in that, once you reach level 90 and you unlock the final slot, you're going to get max bonus link, which says up here total link quality. It's going to reach 500%, and then you're going to be able to choose one of these bonuses that you see on the list. Okay. Now keep in mind that this bonus can only be reached by reaching 500%. So if you go ahead and use another unit that is not a duplicate or a proxy link, you're never going to reach 500% and thus reach this bonus link. So that's another reason why you should always use duplicates and proxy links. Also, this full link bonus that you see in front of us changes depending on the unit that you choose. Okay, it's not always the same. All right, so for example, if I go ahead and click on another unit that I already have a max bonus, let's go and click on Charlotte here. Charlotte is level 9 and she's maxed core link. Okay, so let me go and click on the core link right here. And you notice that her selection is different from the one I just had with Perrault. Okay. For example, in this area right here, the 4th slot, it says crit chance plus 20%. I believe Perrault's ability was buff or debuff an extra 2 levels. Okay. So I chose crit chance 20% once I fully maxed out Charlotte's core link. And you'll see right here, I have 5 duplicates of Charlotte on the bottom left-hand side. Okay. So I get max link bonus. I get to choose what I want. And then on the bottom right-hand side, those are the additional stats that I get from maxing out her core link. Okay. So if you're a new player to this game, or you're kind of confused how the system works, you never looked at it, the long and short of it is that you always want to use duplicate units or proxy units to get their maximum compatibility up for whatever stage that they're at. In other words, whatever level that they're at. And then once you max it out, you get to choose a bonus. And that's it. That's the core link system, guys. It's not overly complicated, okay? If you follow that advice, you'll always have the best. You'll always optimize the core link system. And you're always going to get that reward at the end for the unit that you are building, okay? And that is that for the core link system. Very, very easy. All right. So let's go and take a little bit of a water break, as always, and I'm going to move on to the next portion, which is going to be equipment. All right, guys. So in this part of the video, I'm going to go and talk about equipment. So let's go and go back to the home page here. And let's go ahead and move on to gear. All right. Okay. So to quote the great Ica on the English Discord, our Lord and Savior, our frog Lord and Savior of the English Discord, equipment in this game is the end game mechanic, but it is also what separates a good player from a stupid player. I'm paraphrasing him, but I think he's said that many times. Okay. Equipment in this game is very, very important because it's like an extra layer of stats, and some of the equipment in this game is almost essential in beating certain stages in the game. Okay, if your unit can't beat the stage, even though you feel like you have a really strong composition, equipment is where you patch up the holes. Equipment is also so versatile in this game is that it can push a unit from being, let's say, purely defensive to being extra DPS, which is always a nice bonus. Or it can push a tank into being an attacker. Okay, unit is equipment in this game is really good. It's really flexible in that regard, but you have to focus on it. And there's a reason why advanced players in the English Discord, or even advanced players in the Korean version or the Korean wikis and forums, will say that in Last Origin you're always poor. Okay, why do they say this comment? The reason why they say that you're always poor in Last Origin is that resources that you see on the left-hand side, parts, nutrients, and power, even though I have a lot of them right now, I actually have a lot of them because I wanted to have a lot of them for the sake of this video. Reason being is I wanted to show you how expensive things can get if you start upgrading equipment. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to our event exchange right here. And let's go ahead and buy 20 of these enhancement boxes. Okay, so these boxes are stuff that you can use to enhance equipment. Okay, you can also enhance equipment in other ways, but the boxes are the most efficient way of doing so. So let's say I go ahead and click on Labiata's crit chance chip, and you notice that it says level 7 right now, right? Its current buff is crit chance 16%. Now, I definitely want to max this out because the crit chip is one of the best things in the game. You want crit all the time, so why not enhance the crit chip? So if I click on one of these boxes, you notice that it says 400, 400, and 400. And what that means is that it's going to cost 400 of every resource to give a little bit of experience to level this up. See that little leveling bar where my mouse is moving over? See? So 400, 400 experience. If I click on another box, 800, 800 experience. Okay? I'm going to keep clicking on that until I get another +1. So if I go confirm, it's going to cost me 4 boxes, 1,600 resources, and it's going to give me a +1 on this. So I'm going to click on confirm. And there you go. I just burned 1,600 resources. Okay? Doesn't sound like much, right? But remember that this is one piece of gear. Okay? So let's go and get it up an additional level. Another 2,800 resources, guys, to go and upgrade the chip. I'm going to go and do it. Boom. My crit chip is now level 9. You know what? Let's go ahead and max it out because I'm doing a video today. I'm feeling good. Okay? I could probably get away with using something crappier. Let's see if I can. Yes. Okay. 2650. Okay. As you can see, I threw a bunch of other stuff in there to go ahead and get the max level. To go and get this to level 10. I'm going to go and do it. All right. Now I've maxed out the crit chip. One of the best equipment in the game. And I'm very happy. Okay. So if I go back to my home screen here and show you my resources, I've dropped all the way down to 30,000 parts, 34,000 nutrients, and 38,000 power. That is a lot of resources that I've just lost upgrading one piece of gear, one piece of kit, as the people in Europe would say. So, yeah, very expensive very quickly, okay? Once again, there's a lot of equipment that I need to upgrade. A lot, all right? You notice that I have kind of like a slapdash levels on a bunch of equipment here. You see a bunch of 4s, a bunch, a level 5, a level 3, a level 3 there for some reason, a level 1, 2 there, a 5 there. There's a lot of equipment to upgrade. So I can tell you right now that if I maxed out 2 more pieces of gear, okay, even if they were like from level 5 or something right now, I'm going to be in the poorhouse real quickly with my resources, okay? Very, very poor, very, very quickly. So equipment in this game, keep your mind on it at all times. Always be upgrading whenever possible. If you feel you have too many resources, like you're flowing in resources and you don't know what to do, upgrade equipment, okay? I also want to say that yellow equipment is the only equipment worth upgrading in this game. Do not ever upgrade S, A, or B rank equipment, okay? S, A, and B rank equipment is fodder, but it's also good to put on units that maybe you're just leveling up or you're just trying out, or it's used in an emergency where you're just out of gear. If you don't have enough gold gear, which you won't as a new player, it's good to have a couple of like S rank gear, which is this pink gear, for example, to go and put on units because, you're out of gold gear, right? So you rather send them out with something rather than nothing. But for the most part, you never want to upgrade it, okay? You just want to keep it at level 0. And like I said, just give the bonus wherever you can. You always only want to upgrade gold gear, okay, or SS gear, all right, and nothing else, because once again, you're investing so much resources into it, so you want to keep those resources around. And also, SS gear has a higher ceiling than its equivalent S, A, or B ranks, okay? So, like if I got a crit chip that was B rank, for example, its maximum wouldn't be 28%. Its maximum would be like, I don't know, 15% or something like that, okay? So that is why you always want to upgrade gold gear, yellow gear, aka SS rank gear. And you also want to be mindful of the gear that you're upgrading, because you always want to make sure you're upgrading something that's useful amongst a lot of units that you own, okay? So that is equipment. Once again, quoting Aika, our frog lord and savior on the English Discord. You don't want to be a dumb player, okay? You want to be a smart player. You want to upgrade your equipment and make sure you keep an eye on it at all times, okay? So that way it will allow you to advance further and harder and faster, that sounded wrong, in the game in Last Origin. All right? Okay. So this ends the guide section for the mechanics. At least I'm going to talk about in the game. I'm already running 54 minutes long. I can't believe this is an hour video, but I hope you found it useful. As always, guys, if you have questions about any game mechanics, feel free to ask me. I will gladly answer you in the YouTube comments, okay? Now, this next section is kind of a weird one. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the English patch in detail. So for the rest of you out there, this is not going to matter. Thanks for stopping by. For everyone else who is interested in patching the game in English, I'm going to go and show you how to do so one more time. I did in the first video. I'm going to do it once more in this video. So I'm going to go and exit. Yes. I'm going to go and show my desktop. And let's go ahead and close out this other stuff because I no longer need it. Okay, I'll just leave that there for the heck of it. All right, guys. So this is the English patching section. I just want to let you guys know that my emulator of choice that I use to play Last Origin is called Bluestacks 4. You see the logo on the bottom left-hand side. If you want to know where to get it, check out the first video. I am not sponsored by Bluestacks 4, but if the developer of Bluestacks 4, if you're listening, holla at your boy, Tree, over at boxinacorner.net. Okay, that is my website. I'm always open for sponsorships because I do view them as a business exchange. Anyway, moving on forward. You're here for the English patch. How do I patch the game in English? Let's go ahead and bring up a little window right here. So I am using Windows 10, the latest edition of Windows 10, and I have downloaded 2 files here. The first file is the uncensored APK. Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory. You want to know how to install that in an emulator? Drag that file over onto the emulator's desktop. It will start installing. Pretty simple stuff. But you're not here for that. You're here for the English patch, okay? Now, if you go on to the English Discord, you will find this patch and where to download it. Once you download it, it's going to look exactly like this if you're on a Windows computer. And for the most part, any other operating system that you happen to use, it's just a file after all. Now, I want to take this moment to say something very clearly that I didn't say in the first video in regards to the English patch. Every time Last Origin, the game, gets updated with its own patch, in other words, a content patch or a bug fix, there's a very high chance the English patch is going to be invalidated, okay? So in other words, every time you get a small little patch, a hotfix, what have you, there's a chance the English patch is going to be invalidated, and you're going to have to revisit the English Discord to check if the English patch has been updated. The reason I want to stress this point is that there are a lot of new players to Last Origin who just got into the game and they want to patch the game in English, but by sheer coincidence, they happen to start the game at a time where the game just recently got updated. So what they follow my guide or they follow someone else's guide on how to patch the game, and then it doesn't work, and then they get frustrated. And they're like, hey, why didn't it work, right? You know, they'll ask me or they'll ask someone on the English Discord, why doesn't this work? And the reason why it didn't work is because the game recently got patched, and that means that the English patch is now officially outdated, okay? So you always have to have the latest English patch from the English Discord. You have to get it from there, and you have to make sure it's current. You can ask around to make sure it's current. Secondly, if it messes up, it's no fault of your own. Don't worry about it, okay? If it's out of date, just go and play the game, get familiar with the game, you know, click random buttons, see what you can do, and then when the English patch is ready, it's usually ready within 24 to 48 hours, you can go ahead and follow my guide or whomever's guide to go and patch the game, okay? So that's the first important thing I want to get out of the way. Sometimes you just, as a new player, have bad timing. The second thing that I see a lot and that people mess up with is that they overcomplicate the patching process, and let me go and show you why. So let me go and double click the file, which opens it up, okay? Now, when you open up the English patch file, you're going to see this folder with a weird name on it, okay? This current English patch has this folder name. In the future, it's going to have a different name. This folder already exists in Last Origin. It already exists in the game. You are not trying to make another folder in the game that's named this, or you're not trying to add this folder to the game. Okay, you're not doing that. This already exists. The reason why this folder exists in the English patch is that it's showing you where to drop the file that's inside of it, which is _data. That is all it's doing, guys. It's not doing anything else, okay? We don't care about the folder. We just use the folder as a reference. It's already in the game. There are some folks out there that will see this, automatically drag or extract the folder into their Android operating system, and then they're going to be confused why nothing happened, or they didn't get a prompt to replace the file, etc., stuff like that. Here's the reason why this happens, okay? On the technical side of things, all phones, all tablets, and all Android devices, they can choose to have a custom file manager. All that means is that it's not what I'm about to show you today. It works a little bit differently. I can tell you right now that on certain phones out there, every time you drag a file into the phone, it doesn't drag it where you want it to. What it will do is that it will drag it into like a lump folder, like a folder where every single time you transfer a file into it, the phone, it's going to move it to that folder. It could be called something like My Files or My Stuff or whatever. And then that's where the file is going to be. So if you drag this, like you plug your phone into a computer and then you drag this file over into your phone thinking that you transferred the file into the right location, it might actually dump it into the My Files folder on your phone, okay? And the reason it does that is because, once again, it's a different file manager. It's the way the phone is set up. It might be custom. It might be a security measure because your phone has like some type of antivirus thing activated on it, and then the antivirus always needs to quarantine new files that come into the phone. They need to check it for viruses, and that's why it does that, okay? So, once again, if you're overcomplicating things and you're doing that, you're skipping a step, you're not understanding how to do things, and you're going to get more frustrated. All you're trying to do is to replace this one file into the game at this folder location. Once you overwrite that file, you're done, okay? So, if you keep your mind wrapped around that very fact of what you're trying to do, it will make the process a lot easier, okay? Don't overcomplicate your life. All right, you're just trying to place one file that's already in the game, and that's it. Okay, and this folder in the English patch is letting you know where it's located. You're not trying to create it. Okay, you're just trying to locate it and replace the file. All right. Whew. Okay, good. We got those very two important facts out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to go into the documents folder, and you'll notice that I have the English patch already in there. Okay, and if I double click it, you notice that the underscore data file is there. I also have another folder called Raptor Call of the Shadows. Holla at your boy if you know what that game reference is. Of course, you can always Google it. But you're an old school player like me. You like that game. I do play it on my Steam once in a while. So there is the English patch. Why is this important? Now, in regards to Bluestacks, okay, Bluestacks automatically checks your default Windows folders, okay, so that they can bring it into the emulator, okay? This might be true for other emulators, but this is true for BlueStacks 4. So this is where the BlueStack guide comes in. So I'm going to go and click on this little arrow at the bottom, okay? This says more apps, right? I'm going to click it. I'm going to click on the cog icon that says app settings. It's going to go ahead and bring me to this window. I'm going to click on storage. I'm going to go and scroll down and click on explore. You see it's at the very bottom right there? And then that's going to bring up this window right here. This window is letting me know what's inside the emulator ecosystem right now. And the folder on the right-hand side that says Windows is actually the Windows folder. So if I click on Windows, I can actually go and click on Documents. You see where it says Documents? And I click on that, and guess what I see? I see the English patch folder, and I see Raptor Call of the Shadows. See that? English folder, English patch folder, Raptor Call 0, or O, I should say. And that's Raptor Call of the Shadows, right? Now, if I made a new folder and I called it But, right? If I go back to Windows and go to Documents, you see I have the folder But. Okay? Why do I have the folder But? Because this emulator, BlueStacks 4, will always show you what's in the documents as well as the pictures folder, okay, as well as some other things. But I'm just using that as proof of concept. Now, as a matter of fact, if I click on Butts and I delete it, bye-bye Butts, and let's go back to main storage here and go to Windows and Documents. Butts is gone. Butts is no longer there because I just deleted, okay? So it's emulating everything in the documents folder, okay? So if you just downloaded this file, you click that, you open it up, and then you drag it over to Documents. And this is Windows 10. Okay, I'm going to replace everything because I've already done this. And it shows up there. It will also show up in BlueStacks. Okay, it's that simple, guys. Okay, do not overcomplicate your life. All right, so it's already there. It's in the emulator. The emulator sees it. Okay, if I even click it, you see the underscore data file. It's there. It sees it. It's in the system. And all you had to do was extract it into your Documents folder on your Windows 10 PC. How easy is that? Okay. Not complicated at all. All right. Now, another thing I want to bring up. If you guys do not see this in the BlueStacks 4 emulator, if you don't see this little phone icon and a whatever thing that your emulator is named after, because when you run the emulator, it runs under a different device, okay, profile. I won't get into the details about that. I don't want to confuse you. But if you don't see this right here, you want to double check to make sure that internal storage is clicked on, okay? So if you don't know what I'm talking about, let's say I go to, was it downloads? If I go to downloads, no, it wasn't downloads. Dang it. I'm trying to get that window up here. Nope. No. Okay. So I am trying to get to a point where I'm trying to access the Android ecosystem, but there's an option on the right hand side right here, and I don't remember how to get to it, okay? But click on three dots, and it's going to say show internal storage. I think the reason why I can't access it right now is because I'm already showing internal storage. I think it's like a one-time toggle, okay? But like I said, if you click on this little sidebar right here, and you don't see this listed, you don't see the phone icon in Bluestacks 4, you're going to have to click on these three dots right here and click on the option that says show internal storage. All right, once you do that, this will appear. I didn't talk about that in the first video, so that might lead to some confusion with some folks, because they might not see this and they're like, hey, where do I get that? And that is because they didn't click show internal storage on the options using the BlueStack file manager, okay? So that's another thing I wanted to point out that's different from my first video. Okay, so now that we've downloaded the English patch, we've extracted it into the documents folder, okay? And now that we can confirm, stop doing that. Now that we can confirm that BlueStacks sees the folder and the file, okay? What we do from this point is that we go into that folder, okay? I'm going to do it one more time. I'm being really thorough this time. So we're going to go and click on Windows, Documents, the English patch folder, and the file. We're going to click and hold on it. We're going to click on these three dots, and we're going to click Copy To. Okay, I like using Copy To because you always have a copy. If you mess up, you can always go back and do it again. So I'm going to click Copy To, and now it's going to ask me where do I want to move it to. We're going to go and click on the phone or whatever device that you have. We're going to click on Android, Data, com.smartjoe. This is the name of the game. Okay, this is where it's located. Files, Unity Cache, shared, and then we're going to go ahead and wait for it to load, and we're going to go and look for the folder where this file is located. Okay, so once again, this folder already exists in the game. We're just looking for the folder. Okay, so do you remember the name of the folder? No? Go ahead and go back and open up your documents. ED6A450. So we're looking for ED6A450. There it is. Let's go and open it up. You'll see two files in the folder. Underscore data, which is the one we want to replace, and an info folder, which is of no use to us. Once you head to this folder, on the bottom right-hand side, you're going to click on Copy. Click Copy, and it's going to move the file over. Okay, now you're almost done. Now what we need to do is to navigate over to that folder. How do we do that? We click on this little 3-bar right here to bring up the menu. We're going to click on our phone, whatever it's named. We're going to go and repeat the process and go back to that same folder. Don't remember where it was? I'll show you. Android, Data, com.smartjoe, Files, Unity Cache, Shared. What was the number that we had earlier? ED6A450. There it is, guys. We've made a copy. See, it says 1. That is the copy. So we're going to go ahead and click on the original file. We're going to trash it. Delete data? Yes. We're going to click on the new file. We're going to click on these 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner, and we're going to go rename. And that is it, guys. We have patched the game in English on BlueStacks 4. Okay? We've done it. I am now going to do this very quickly as a proof of concept to show you how easy it is once you get used to it, at least on BlueStacks 4. Okay? The reason why I want to show you this in a quick fashion is because you're going to be doing this over and over again. Every time the game gets a new content update, you're going to need to repatch the game. So you better get used to it. You better get familiar with it. Okay. And that's why I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it right now really quickly, because I'm so used to patching the game, okay? You'll get to this stage too. Don't worry about it. The first time it's intimidating. It's like changing the oil in your car for the first time, or changing a flat tire for the first time. I'm not sure how many of you guys have done that. But yeah, it's very intimidating because you've never done it before. Once you've done it, it's like clockwork. You're like, okay, whatever, right? You just become aggravated. Okay, so let's patch the game one more time. Starting with Windows. I went to the last Origin English Discord. I said hi to Ica. I said hi to Slime. I sent them a private message that said, thank you for all of your hard work, guys, for maintaining the Discord to give me all of these files. Once I did that, I went over and downloaded the English patch, okay? It looks like this. I double click it. I open it up. I drag it over to Documents, okay? If you have something in that destination it's going to ask you to replace, you're probably not going to have it. And then it's going to show up, okay? Once it shows up, I am done. I'm going to go back to my Bluestacks 4 emulator. I'm going to click on More Apps. COG, okay? Storage. Explore. And then it's going to go and show me this window when you first open it. I'm going to go and click on Windows, Documents, the English patch folder. Click on the data file. Click the three dots on the upper right-hand side. Copy to. Okay? I'm going to go and click on the left phone hand side, right? I'm going to click on Android, Data, com.smartjo, Files, Unity Cache, Shared. I'm going to go on and head on down to the funky file name. Remember, it's going to change for every single English patch. ED6A450. There it is. I'm going to click Copy. Okay. Once I've copied, I'm going to go click on the phone icon once again. Android, Data, com.smartjo, Files, Unity Cache, Shared. Let it load. Go back down to the folder I just copied it over to. ED6A450. There's the file. I've done it right. Click on the original file, trash it. We no longer need it. Click on the new file, and we're going to go and rename it. Okay. Close this out. You're done, guys. Congratulations. You've just patched the game in English on Bluestacks 4. Remember, all you're trying to do is replace one file in the game, and that's all you're trying to do. If you're trying to patch the game in English on any other emulator or a phone or a tablet, remember that key fact. You're just trying to do one thing and one thing only. Anything else, you might mess things up, okay? And it's going to make your life a lot easier if you understand that you're just replacing that underscore data file into a folder that's already in the game, okay? That's all you're trying to do. Make your life easy. Don't make it hard. All right. Whew. Okay, guys. So let's go ahead and go back. Actually, you know what? I think I'm just going to go and close out the video right now. I was going to go and launch the game once more to talk about anything else that I might have missed. But I'm already tired, and this video is already running an hour long. Okay, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the English patching guide. I hope it opened up your world, and you know it should work for other games as well. But I'm not going to go there because other games sometimes have other files and other stuff. It's pretty easy for Last Origin. As always, you have a question about something that I talked about in today's video, leave a comment. I read all of my comments, okay? If the comment's nasty, the comment's gone, and I will never see you again. The comment's just a question or a comment, I will read it, and I'll probably respond to it. I respond to, like, literally 95% of my comments. Like I said, the other 5%, nasty people or bots, okay? They're gone forever. I don't even know who they are anymore. So do be afraid. Ask a question or leave a comment, and I'll respond to it, and I'll help you out even more if you need it, okay? Because I want to help people. I really want people to play Last Origin. If you watch the entirety of this video, Brofist, Internet Brofist to you, thank you for watching the entire video. I hope you liked it. I hope you found it informative. You can always check out my website, boxinacorner.net. That is my official blog. I am a one-man show, so I'm always a little bit busy. I can't keep it fully up to date, but I do try to keep it up to date as much as possible, and I hope people do find it interesting. I hope you find it interesting as well. I have other interests in other games as well as other topics. I'm not just a one-trick pony, okay? So visit me on that website there. And as always, I am always trying to find new games out there to talk about. It's a slow process, but when I do find them, I always personally believe they're games worth looking into, okay? So please bear with me if the videos on YouTube are coming out slow because, like I said, when I find a game, it kind of has to pass a certain quality assurance test, and I am the quality assurance guy. So I have to vet it, is what I'm trying to say. So I have to make sure it's good and that it's playable in the long run and I really like it, okay? So if it's not, that's why sometimes the videos are really long and far in between because guess what? The game may look really cool. You might have saw it in the store and you're like, hey, you should check out this game and play it. I played it. it's cool for like a couple of days, and then you run into a paywall, or you run into crap, or the developer nerfs everything, or the developer removes it from the store because it was like they stole stuff like that. Okay, so that's why the videos are coming slow, guys. It's just really hard to find quality games out there. All right. Other than that, that is it. All right. Have a good morning, afternoon, or night, wherever you are. Thanks for watching, as always. And remember, visit the English Discord. Let's go and help build the community over there. And special thanks to ICUH, our frog lord and savior, for running it, as well as Slime for all of the useful information that he put into his guide, as well as giving me those slides today that you see in the video that I referenced off of. All right. I will see you guys next time. Thanks, as always, for watching. Take care.